All right, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started just in a comfortable seat. So again, if you want to switch it up a little bit, bring the bottoms of the feet together, that's fine. You get a little bit more opening through that inner thigh, or if you want to just sit cross-legged, that's also an option. Again, sitting on the knees, and if you have something to put in between your knees, that's kind of helpful too. Takes a little bit of less pressure off of those knees, especially if you have maybe any meniscus issues or knee pain. Just propping yourself up onto a block maybe is a little bit more comfortable, a little bit safer on the knees. So up to you. Okay, just go ahead and close down those eyes. Again, we'll rest those hands on your knees. It's sitting up nice and tall. So you take that big breath in, feeling that breath move into the lowest part of the lungs. That belly will expand and up towards the middle, so your ribcage expanding to the front, the sides, the back, and move that breath all the way up into the collarbones, filling up those lungs as much as you can. Try and pull in even more air. Hold it and exhale that breath out. You can even open your mouth side out. We'll do that 2 more times. That really big breath in, feeling that breath move into the lowest part, the middle, all the way up through the collarbones, pulling in even more air. And exhale it out. And one more time. Big breath in. Sip in a little bit more air, as much air as you can. And exhale it out. And now close down the mouth. We'll continue to take that big breath in and make it a little bit more comfortable. Still filling those lungs. And exhaling that breath out, just nice and slow. A little bit more rhythmic with that breath. So that inhale is going to match that exhale. As we breathe through this, still make sure we're filling into that lowest part of the lungs. A lot of times we get stressed, we breathe in just to that upper chest region. But to help calm us down, we really want to focus that breath into the lowest part of the lungs, using the lungs to their full capacity. And just sitting in this quiet space for a couple more breaths. Just start to drop that left ear over to that left shoulder. Think about softening that right shoulder down a little bit more. Keep that stretch along that right side of the neck. Lift it back up and go to the other side, just dropping that right ear towards the right shoulder. And bring it back up. Let's go back to that left side. Inhale it back up and exhale, drop that ear down to the other side. Inhale it back up one more time each way, over to the left. Inhale it back up and over to the other side. So bring it back up. Now drop that chin to the chest. Then bring that head back to neutral. So think about pulling that chin back just slightly. Okay, and then we're gonna lift the head up towards the ceiling. And then we'll bring that chin to the chest. Just some flexion and extension of the neck. So bring it to neutral, tuck that chin slightly, and then lift that head up. Last one, lower that chin to the chest. Bring it to neutral, tuck the chin, and then lift that head back up. Now bring the head to neutral. We're going to make circles with that head. So drop the right ear or left ear towards your left shoulder. Bring the chin to the chest, and then we'll sweep it around. If you just want to stay here in the half circles, you can, or if you want to make a full circle, if that feels all right on the neck, you can. Just be careful when you're looking up. And maybe just switch directions. And then bring that head back to center. We're going to reach those arms up overhead, reaching those hands back. So keep that core tight. Just try and pull those hands back as much as you can. Maybe a little bit of a stretch through those shoulders. And now bending into your right elbow. Pat yourself on the back. So that space in between the shoulder blades. That other hand's going to reach for it, sitting tall, pressing that head back into the forearm. So starting to feel that stretch through the tricep. Maybe a little bit through those lats too. Taking one more breath. And then we'll just gently bend it over to that left side. Good to bring it back up. Go ahead and switch sides. So bending into that left elbow. Again, rib cage down. Stay tall to start. Just focusing that stretch into that tricep. And then gently bend it over to that right side. Good, inhale, bring it back up. We'll reach those arms up. Draw those elbows down as we open up that chest. Inhale, bring it back up. Good, exhale, pull those elbows down. Inhale, reach it up. Last time, draw those elbows down. We're gonna interlace those fingers behind the back. So again, when you interlace the fingers, you wanna bring the palms together or touching, or but the palms are gonna face each other. Draw those knuckles down, start to open up through that chest. Be gentle with it. Shoulders might be a little tight this morning. Okay, so maybe you just stay here, just really focusing on pulling those shoulder blades together in the back, opening up through the front part of the chest. And then maybe you start to bring those hands away from the hips just little by little. One more breath. Now we'll keep those fingers interlaced. You're just going to bring those hands over to your left hip. And we'll drop that left ear towards that left shoulder. And then lift the head up. We'll switch it to the other side. Hands are at that right hip, and then we'll drop that right ear to the right shoulder. So whatever direction your hands are at, that's the direction your head goes. Bring it back to center. Go ahead and release those hands. We'll come onto those hands and knees into that cat-cow. Okay, so on that inhale, we're going to drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we gaze up. Exhale, we're going to round the spine, press the shoulder blades away from each other, really pull that belly in. So trying to get as much rounding as you can through that low back, mid back, and upper back. Good, then inhale again, drop belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. And exhale, round. Good, inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, round. Then we'll inhale it into our neutral spine, keeping that core nice and tight. We're just gonna reach that right arm up, opening up through that chest. So looking up towards that thumb, just twist twisting as much as you can without sending those hips off to one side. You want to keep those hips pulling back towards the midline of the mat. And now lower that hand down. We're going to go 2 more times. We're going to twist, reach that arm up, and lower down. This time you can thread that arm through. So get a little reach through that other direction. And then again, open up, reach that arm up, and thread it through. Good, reach it back up, and lower that hand down. So we'll go to the other side. Reaching that left arm up. So again, gazing up, finding that thumb, keeping those hips pulled back towards that midline of the mat. Good, lower the hand down, and then we'll reach that arm up. Good, this time we can start to thread it through, reach, send it back up, and thread it through. Good, reach that arm up. Good, and lower that hand down. Bring those knees together, okay? Send those hips back to the heels just as far as you can. Then we're gonna slide those elbows back. So maybe the forearms are touching. We wanna try and get those forearms as close together and those elbows as close to those knees as you can, okay? We're gonna bring our right hand out. So turn that thumb down, and then we'll continue to flip it so the palm is facing up, and we'll bring that hand to our tailbone. Okay, so take that big breath in. We're gonna start by looking over our right shoulder first, and then as we exhale, continue to twist and open up. Good, inhale it back down. So the gaze is leading. Again, exhale, look and twist. And bring it back down. Last time, gazing over that shoulder, open up, twist. Good, and bring it back down. We're gonna switch sides. Okay, so sending that left arm out, turn the thumb down, and then bring that hand to your tailbone. Take that big breath in, and then on that exhale, look and twist, open up. Inhale it back down. Good, exhale, open up. Good, inhale it back down. Last time, exhale, open up, twist, pause it for a breath. Good, and send it back down. Just go ahead and reach those arms forward into that child's pose. You can bring those knees out a little bit wider, softening the chest in between those legs. Good, then come back up onto those hands and knees. Take one, step those feet back to a plank, just pausing in this plank, kind of warming up the core and the body a little bit. So really tight through those legs. You can even bring the feet together. If you squeeze those feet together, kind of activates all those muscles in the legs. Keeping that core nice and tight, chest is going forward. Blow 3 more breaths, gripping those fingertips and the palms into the mat. Nice big breath in. And exhale, send those hips up and back into that downward facing dog. You can step those feet a little bit wider, just adjusting, pedaling those feet, just any movements that you need. Good. Pause it for 1 more breath. And then we'll inhale on the toes. Good. Bend into those knees as we step those feet top of the mat. Inhale the half lift. And exhale, fold. And inhale, we'll rise to standing. Reach it up nice and tall. And exhale those hands to heart center. And inhale, we'll reach those arms back up. We're gonna flip those palms, point them up towards the ceiling. Then we're gonna find that side bend over to the right. Inhale it back up and over to the left. Then inhale, reach it back up. We're gonna draw those elbows down, open up through that chest. Then interlace those fingers behind the back. Open up, breathe. Now then exhale, release those hands up as we fold. And finding that flat back. Exhale, slide the hands back down. Then inhale, bend the knees, rise up. Exhale the hands to heart center. Inhale, reach it up. Interlace those fingers, palms up, side stretch to the right. Inhale it up. Exhale it to the left. Good. Inhale, reach it up. Draw the elbows down, interlace those fingers, open up that chest. Good, then we'll release those arms up and exhale, fold. Finding that flat back and exhale it down. Last time through, bend the knees, flatten out that back. Rise up to standing. Exhale the hands down. Good, inhale, reach it back up. Interlace those fingers, palms up. Bend it to the right. Inhale it up and to the left. Inhale it back up and draw those elbows down. Interlace the fingers, open that chest. And release those arms up and fold. Finding that flat back. And exhale, fold, just letting the arms and head hang nice and heavy. Just gazing between the legs. You can shake the head, yes. Shake the head, no. Just releasing any tension that you might be holding, shoulders and neck. And go ahead and release those hands, plant them down to the mat as we step those feet back to our plank. Shifting that weight forward as we lower down onto our stomachs. Point those toes, roll the shoulders down and back, lifting up into that cobra, and soften it down. Again, roll the shoulders down and back, away from the ears, lift up maybe a little bit higher, and soften it down. Good, last time, roll those shoulders down and back, press and lift. So maybe staying in that cobra, or maybe you find you can press those hips all the way up. Press that chest all the way up into that upward facing dog. Maybe even getting those thighs to hover up off of the ground. And then exhale, just sending those hips back into that child's pose, just letting that head rest down. And then come on back to those hands and knees. Then we'll step it back to a plank. Again, we'll hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hips to the sky, downward facing dog. We're gonna step that right foot outside that right pinky finger, lower that back knee down as we let that knee fall open to the right side. Again, don't let the hips shift. Keep the hips midline. Just let that knee open up a little bit wider. Keeping the core tight, back flat as we lower down. Maybe you make your way onto those forearms. Maybe those hips are feeling a little bit tight this morning. So 3 more full complete inhales and exhales. And then come onto those hands. Then straighten that front leg, pull those toes back. Now, as you rebend into that knee, we're going to heel to walk that foot across. So we're going to come into that pigeon. So you can lower the knee down. The knee is going to come down pretty wide, so almost towards that right edge of the mat. The foot is going to angle across. Now, you can bring that shin to be parallel to the ground. You can flex that foot, but it takes a lot of hip mobility to get in that position. And if you're not quite there, just angle your foot back a little bit. So you might find that it feels better on your knee or even that ankle if you angle that foot back. So if the foot is angled back, just go ahead and kind of point through those toes. You can press the top of the foot into the mat, so a little bit more active. You can press into that shin, draw that knee back, feeling that flexion, tightening of the glute as we soften into this stretch. And then we'll make our way back onto those hands. Go and step that leg back to our down dog. Any movements that you need. And now we'll take that left foot, step it outside that left pinky finger. Back knee lowers down, that chest is pulling forward. Letting that knee open up a little bit wider. And then we can soften down onto those elbows. And if this is not accessible this morning, just stay on those hands, or maybe you grab onto that block or anything that you have available to elevate those arms. And slowly come back onto those hands. As we straighten that front leg, pull those toes back, keep that back flat. And now as we rebend into that knee, we're gonna heel toe walk that foot across the mat. Bring that left knee wide, so it's almost touching that left side of the mat. Again, adjusting that foot as needed, flattening that left leg or right leg back a little bit more. Now press into that left shin, drawing that knee back, and start to lower down onto those forearms, just resting here for a few moments. And slowly make your way back to those hands. And send that foot back to that down dog. And then make our way through to that seated position. Legs are crossed, sitting up nice and tall. And you can rest those hands on your knees. Just pause it here for a couple breaths. You can just be in this space. Just being present in this moment. Leave those eyes open. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and I will see you guys on Saturday morning.